Hey crafty people, welcome back to my channel, and in case you're new here, I'm Sarah, also known as Craft Nerd because I'm a nerd who loves to craft. I do paper crafting, card making, junk journaling, and mixed media art. Let's get crafting! Oh, welcome back! So today what we're going to make is a junk journal page using 3 junk mail envelopes, and it'll get sewn into your signature like this, and it'll have 3 pockets. So you'll have a pocket over here which has a window, a pocket over here which has a window, and then a flip out pocket over here that does not have a window. And I need to do some gluing. This is not 100% finished. I need to clean up the edges and add some washi, but this all started with, I had this piece like not even halfway done. The only thing on it was the striped papers attaching the 3 envelopes to each other. And it was sitting in a to-do like plastic sleeve with the rest of the papers, just waiting for me to finish it. So I finally finished putting it together and thought this is kind of a cool idea since it uses up 3 junk mail envelopes and I have a ridiculous amount of junk mail envelopes I need to use. So I decided, all right, let's go ahead and make a video doing this. So disclaimer, I have no idea if this is my original idea, if I got the idea from somebody from a YouTube video online, or if I tweaked an idea I saw on YouTube. No clue, because this has been sitting for that long waiting to get finished. And you could do this as like a standalone piece as well. I don't tend to make a lot of little like standalone folio thingies like this. So I'm gonna make it to be a page in a signature and go in like that. So we've got a short page on this side and then the full-size page here with decorative paper on that side. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do. And I did create a variation covering it slightly differently so we can keep the curved edges of our windows, which I kind of like. And this one I did close up all of the pockets. So we've got a side pocket here. I wanted to keep this kind of large since, you know, if it's in the journal like this, putting something in and out of this pocket might be a little difficult. So I figured, hey, if we leave it open at the top, it'll be easier to get whatever we're putting in the pocket. And then this pocket over here, which has the window on this side. So I'm going to show you both ways of doing it. And what you need is 3 junk mail envelopes. And if you're gonna do like I did and have 2 windowed pockets, you're gonna need at least 2 windowed envelopes, but the third one does not need to have a window. These guys actually were windowed envelopes that I used, but you might as well save the windowed envelopes for a project where you're gonna use the window if you've got ones like this that don't have a window. And I'm keeping it upside down like this and not showing you the front because it's got my address on it, so we'll have to take care of that since I don't want to broadcast that on YouTube. So let's start and we'll do the assembly this style first. And step 1 is, these are US business letter envelopes. So they are 9.5 by about 4.5 wide. And since I use US letter size paper, my pages are usually 5.5 by 8.5. So we're gonna need to trim everyone down to 8.5 high. And I'm gonna clean up the rough edge where I opened it. So we're just gonna sliver off a little on either side. And if you're doing windowed envelopes and want your window to show, be sure you cut your the non-window end of the envelope. Oh, I am struggling to talk today. And this one I'm filming actually way in advance of when it's gonna post for a change, because it's Sunday, so the video's coming out this coming week. I had planned on being 1 video and it got too long, so it's going out as 2 videos. So that meant I went into the weekend with all of my videos for next week filmed. So I did 1 for the week after, and this is probably going to go after the week after next, just because we're reaching the end of May and I've got to do my 12 months of Christmas cards and my 12 months of working on Christmas presents. So those are going to be not this coming week, but next week's videos, like the last week in May. So this is probably not going to go out until June. And I'm gonna need my paper trimmer again in a minute to trim our papers. So next step is go through and double check that all of your envelope flaps are fully glued down, because sometimes they come up. So making sure that'll get covered. Okay, that's good. So that one's gonna go there. That one's gonna go there. This one's gonna go over here. But what we're gonna end up doing is sealing up this flap so that we can have the opening on the other side where it'll be a little easier to access. So let's just make sure we're all glued. And I'm gonna run some glue down here just to keep this part glued shut all the way so we don't have to worry about things catching on it. That one's gonna go like so. So the first step is we're gonna grab some paper, and this is by Ink and Page. And as always, I will leave links to all of the digitals I use down below so that if you're interested in them, you can go check those out. Which one we want to use? I think I want to use this one for the first step. And what we're going to do is we're going to cut 2 inches off either end of this. And we are going to grab our scoreboard, put this in, and we're going to make the little flap. Okay, so we are going to score this at 3 inches because then, actually, if I don't want to, we're going to actually do it this way. We're going to score at 3 inches because it's a little easier to score without having to deal with the little flap there. Fold that over. And I'll explain why in a sec. And the next thing we are gonna do is I'm gonna take an X-Acto blade and run it up the edge here. And along here to our fold. That did not go smoothly. We will clean this up in a minute. All right, we're splitting that open because we are going to attach these two together like so. And I don't want to have, because we're going to put paper on the back, paper on the front. This is going to then have 2 layers of this. So we are going to cut away one of these layers. Okay, so we're going to use our paper trimmer because I will do a better job of getting that straight to trim this strip off, mostly so that we have less bulk in the journal when we're done. Oh, look, let's do it this way. I will just line up the fold line, trim that away, and hopefully I didn't cut off the piece I didn't want to cut off. We're good. All right. I'm just going to trim off that little piece. Okay, so what we are going to do is we are going to take our 2-inch piece. We are going to glue it down inside this envelope. And we're going to overlap. Kind of thinking I should have done slightly more than 2 inches, but I think we'll be okay. All right, what we're gonna do first is I'm gonna grab my art glitter glue. You can use whatever glue you like. And yeah, I was using Barely Arts a minute ago because that's what I had handy. I had it out for another project I had been doing where I needed the wiggle time, but here I don't necessarily want quite so much wiggle time. All right, we're gonna glue this side of the pocket closed so we don't have to worry about it. Then we are gonna glue our piece on so it goes over the fold. So where our crease is, we want to glue a little on here, and then we'll glue it to that piece. And I'm gonna line it up down at the bottom. Okay, I need to do a better job of gluing this piece down because when I went to fold it on our crease line, we're getting buckling up. So we're just gonna re-glue that bit. And this is the problem I keep having. Try and get it so that the folding will work right, and then I end up not laying it flat. And All right. Apparently I should have done it with Barely Arts glue. Since I'm pulling it up and straightening it out. All right, hold on one sec. So to solve my problem with the fact that I'm trying to do this and hide my address, I went ahead and taped a piece of the inside, you know, the flap we cut off onto my address so that I can come in and fold it on the line going the way I need it to go. All right. Now what we're gonna do is reinforce this fold a few more times. Some days you're just on the struggle bus. Apparently today is one of those days. And I am, to make my life a little easier, going to slice open the other side of this envelope because then we can fold the flap down. Open that up. Come over here and put glue on the digital, but not the envelope. There we go. This will fold up. Yep, that's what we need. All right, now on the side, we're gonna do, all right, let's go ahead and open up this envelope on the other side. I think I'm gonna tweak it. Because on this one, I put the flap basically just on top to attach the two pages together. And so had it covering up. But what if we give it underneath? And on top. Yeah, I like this idea. That's what we're gonna do. So I am gonna glue this piece on the inside here. So there's our window, and then we'll glue this piece on like so. Let's start by gluing this side of the pocket closed. Put it down. I'm not going to put it exactly right
up against each other so that we have a little bit of room for our folding. So we're gonna let that dry. Now for the original one, what I did was on the back of these two pieces, I glued the rest of that piece of paper, which I think I may want to do. And I think I may wrap it around just because that'll give me a quick way to cover my address label. And save me having to cut. Although let's make sure we're folding it in the right spot. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna line it up at the edge of the envelope and glue it down. Then we'll cover it around. Ew, I've got to take that off first. Hold on one sec. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera so that I can keep my address label covered up. So let me just glue this piece on here and wrap it around, and then I'll be back. Okay, so I did go ahead and cover up my address label, so that's all done. And while I was off camera, I figured let's go ahead and pull the rest of the papers and cut them so we can progress at a little bit better speed. So for this side, I'm gonna use this piece, and I'm just gonna glue this straight down. I think it may overhang a little. We'll tweak as we need to. So let's go ahead and do that. Oh, and I did slice this open at the top because it was doing a weird puckering thing when I was gluing the paper down. So I'm like, let's just slice it open and we can just re-glue the pocket when we're done covering. This needs a little bit of glue in here. Looks okay. I think we may trim off, but let's put the piece of paper that's going to go here on, and then we can see what needs trimming, like what's overhang, and we'll glue the pocket shut and do all that. I want to line it up so we don't go over the fold, so I'm just holding it up. Now we are gonna glue the pocket closed. Dog seems to be behaving now. All right, now for this piece, I am gonna do what I like to do with windowed pockets. I am gonna stick the piece I'm gonna cover it with inside the pocket. I'm gonna grab a piece of carbon paper, and I'm gonna slip in the piece of carbon paper. I'm going to trace my window. And then I'm going to cut that out. I'm also going to ink around the edges here. Let's grab just a blue dauber. Let's go. Tumbled glass is fine, just in case there's any white showing. And I may be getting ink on the window, but we can just wipe that off because it's not going to stick to the window later on. And let's go ahead and ink this one while we're at it. All right, then I'm going to take my Fiskar fingertip blade and cut out the window, being careful because I'm freehanding this, essentially. There we go. I'm gonna ink around the edges of this too, just in case. And then I'm just gonna glue that on to cover everything up. I am gonna ink actually the outside edges of this because I think there might be a little lack of straightness, so we might have a little white showing. gonna ink the bottom in a minute. Looks pretty good. Now we need to cover in here. I'm trying to decide if I want to do that or something that contrasts in the window. Let's hold off on deciding and do this window. And I'm gonna follow pretty much the same procedure. I'm gonna slip my piece of paper in. Stick my piece of paper in. Okay, so we're all set to glue this down, but I'm pausing here for a sec because I saw the little offcuts from our envelope sitting over here. And it made me think of a recent video I was watching by Louisa Heinzel where she did these page embellishments in her Tattered Bunny collage journal. And I will find them and leave a link down below where she did kind of like little flip outs in the middle of the page. I was thinking we could take these guys, tuck them under this piece of paper. So a slight variation on what she did. Tuck them under like so, and have a flip out element on this page. Like that. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna glue these onto here, and then we'll trim off whatever's overhanging so it doesn't block our window. Probably should have inked this before I attached it so that there would not. I'm just gonna fold this back on itself and ink along that edge. I think I'm gonna just straighten up that edge. This time we're going to remember to ink along here before we attach, because that's so much easier to do. Then we're just going to come in and trim off. Sure this is glued all the way down because this is a pocket and we don't want things sticking on it. I'm gonna ink this inside edge again. I'm gonna fold those pieces out of the way, glue this on. Yep, okay. And as I'm getting ready to do this, I should ink the outside edges as well before I glue it down, because there'll be no good way to do that once it's glued down. I'm also going to go in, I think, and just trim this off because I do not love the edge there. All right, let's cover the back of this with this piece. No, I think I decided I was going to go that way so that any trim, yeah, we're going to go that way. Now I'm going to ink this edge, although I think I'm probably going to put washi down here, so let's skip that. Oi. Again, this is what happens. I had like a half-baked plan for this video. decision time for our pocket. So, or yes, for inside our pocket. Option A, I think I can show now. B, that all just blends in. I think I want to go with this piece so that it's a little more interesting. Now, this section is 4-ish inches. So what I'm going to do is I just need to cover where the window is. I don't need to cover the whole thing. So let's cut down to like 3 3/4. Let's see what we've got showing. Then I can decide, do I want to leave it going all the way up and just glue it down as one piece? I think I might. Well, no, actually, let's not waste all of that paper. So our window goes up. Cut it off at 5. And then we'll use this side for this window. That will go there. I like that. I'm gonna trim off this excess on the bottom here. Just being careful I don't cut open my envelope. There we go. That's good. Add a little more glue down here. All right, let's glue this pocket down. I'm kind of wondering, part of me wants to, let's see, it's sticking up over here. It is, no, it's not. All right, let's see if we can corner around this. It's kind of a wonky corner, so I don't know if it's gonna work. But let's see. Oh yeah, I managed to get that round. Okay, that works. We're gonna run glue down here and glue this pocket shut. I'm gonna trim off the excess on this one. And I may decide, actually I think I do want to close this one up at the top. Okay, so now we are going to cover this, and I'm going to use one of the full page tabs that I made, and I forgot that I was using it here and shouldn't have put that on there. So we'll just see how that goes. But this is what, all right, we're gonna fold that up for now and figure out what we're doing about it in a minute. It's gonna go over like so, and this will go over here like so. And I'm looking at that and I'm like, don't love that. Probably glue that down and just let it serve as like a decoration on there, and it should be fine flap wise. All right, that side's gonna be fine, but this is a lot showing. So what we're gonna do is glue it down on this side so that that's done and I don't have to worry about it. And actually, let's just to be on the safe side, being overly cautious, I'm gonna grab tumbled glass and run it along here. I'm also gonna do the other side. So go on like that. We need to run some washi down here. Okay, so I've got some new washi from Crafty by Tony. I think it's duck egg stripe. The one time I use glue stick is to add some extra adhesive to washi, because washi's intended to be temporary, so if you want to use it permanently, you have to add extra adhesive to it. To make sure we get the crease in that flower, but I can't keep moving it around because it's not glued yet. All right, let's trim off that little bit of overhanging washi. All right, so now that one is done. Yeah, I'm doing it differently yet again. So for this one, I used one page to do the seam here, and then another sheet went inside and across to this piece. But for some reason, I didn't think, just go all the way across. So I ended up having to add a piece there. And then on the back, I wrapped that around to have a finished edge, and it made it very bulky. So I think this way is going to be a little less bulky and have fewer cuts than the first one I did on video, or the first one I did in real life too. So yeah. What I've got here is this one, instead of doing like a background page, I've got a journal page that's designed to be, you know, folded in half to your 2-page spread. So what we're gonna do is glue the inside of our pockets to this piece. So that's where we're gonna start. Actually, no, we're gonna start by gluing this. Now, I did go ahead and already cut down all the envelopes, opened up all of the side flaps on them. And I'm gonna so be annoyed with myself when I go to edit this video and I'm like, oh my God, could you be less coherent? So this one's gonna go on like so that we have that showing through the pocket. And part of me's like, trim it on the trimmer, and part of me's like, no, cut it off when you after you glue it down. I think we're gonna cut off after I glue down. So I folded the paper in half. I've put my piece in, so the fold's at the bottom, and we're gonna apply glue and then just fold it up over here. All right, again, we're gonna make sure it's pushed all the way in towards that center, all the way up to the bottom, and fold our flap up. And I think I cut all of my envelopes at 8 1/4. I was not paying sufficient attention instead of 8 1/2. But since we've got 8 1/2 size paper, that will take care of that. We'll just have it hanging up the top, and then it'll cover. Don't worry. When we get to that point, you'll see what I'm talking about, because yeah, I am really struggling with communicating effectively today. All right, this one is gonna go on pretty much in the same manner. We're gonna flip it over, push it in, push it all the way to the edge. Glue this on. There we go with that. Now we're gonna glue this flap on as we did with the last one. This one I cut the right length. Oh. So let's just apply glue to here. And so like I did with the last one, I cut that extra bit of this envelope off to reduce the amount of bulk. I did not push that all the way up. Let's fix that. Oh, and I'm not gluing this shut because once we glue these two pieces together, that'll serve as a natural stop for the envelope or the pocket, and we'll have a little bit more room in that pocket by not putting glue inside the pocket. And I decided for this one, let's flip it and have it going the other way from the last one, which really did mess with my brain a little bit. As I was trying to do it, I was like, wait, what? Huh? Where? Oh, apologies for being so very scattered. So what we need to do is over here, we need to trim this off. I think I'm going to try trimming it in my paper trimmer so we can get a straight cut. This one we're going to use for this pocket. I'm going to stick that in, grab my carbon paper. Now, if you don't have carbon paper, what you can do is grab a piece of regular paper, take a pencil, scribble your pencil onto that piece of paper. So like if I took like this scrap of piece of paper, scribbled pencil all the way over it, stuck it in pencil side down, it would have the same effect as your carbon paper. Also, if you don't want to keep the circle shape or the rounded corner shape on the windows, you could just cut strips out and cover it around. I just prefer covering it with one piece. I know a lot of YouTubers are like, that's just too much fussing and would rather paper piece around it, but I just prefer doing it this way. I find I don't like how it looks most of the time when I paper piece around. I don't know, I don't like it. So I'm gonna do it this way. You of course could do it whichever way you prefer. Alright, for this one I'm gonna ink with pink. So I'm gonna grab some Kitsched Flamingo, go around our cutout. Too wide. I forgot to mark off where we needed to trim the excess of the page, so let's do that and grab our paper trimmer. I'm going to ink down the edge of this side just in case. Glad I did that because it's a little short over here. Let's add a little bit more ink on down here. I also need to glue the thing shut at this point. Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the glue on here and along the top edge of here so that we don't accidentally glue this pocket on the short side, if that makes sense. So we're gonna go here. And then along the top edge here. See, so that way we have more of the pocket available to us. Just give that a second to dry. And I'm not too worried about this because I'm planning on putting this in a signature, so you're hardly going to notice it once you've got other pages in between. So it's going to go into a signature like that, so that when you open it up, it's going to be less noticeable because it's in where the seam is, or where you bound the pages into the book. So it's going to be less noticeable. So I'm not too worried about it. All right, so we've got that and that. Coming over to here, I'm going to use this page. So that one's going to go there. So again, we're going to do our window. the bottom edge of this one. All right, and I'm gonna mark, I can just see where this envelope ends, so I'm gonna mark it on my paper and trim that off. Okay, I think because this is overhanging this way a little, what we can do is the same way we did this one. We're gonna put the glue on here, a line up here, and then a line down this edge, which will should glue our pocket shut. And if not, we can go back in. And I just realized on the other one, we left the top open. Is that gonna be, I think that's gonna be all right. Yeah, to give us more space for tucking stuff in. All right. Uh-oh, is that over too far? Oops, too late. I think we're too late. All right. So we went over a little too far at the bottom. So what I'm gonna do is, oh, it's all over too far because it's crossing over into our fold. So we're gonna just trim that off. Let's try this again. And we'll just, and actually I think because I cut this envelope too short, we are gonna do it full folded pocket, or full, like instead of leaving it open like we did on the other one, I think I'm gonna go in and glue it closed. So let's run a bead of glue. And actually, let's figure out where our fold is. Reassert this fold, and then off camera, after I let the dog out, I will cover. See, this is doing wonky things up there, so I'm gonna split this open again, and then we can just reseal it in a way that doesn't cause the issue. So yeah, I'll cover this up since I don't want to include this piece and I don't want to show you my address. So I'll do that and then I'll be back. Okay, so I covered this piece and I put this piece on because I wanted to have it nice and neat seam, which I'm beginning to think was a mistake in that this is very bulky here, but too late now. I think if I did this one again, which I probably will, I'd put just a panel here and then cover anything that was showing with washi and put a panel that covers this piece. All right, let's get this one on real quick because my battery on my phone is running out of juice. And so let's get this finished. Pack it over here, or flip out over here, this piece, and that just needs to get covered. All right, so that one is done. So we did two on camera. We did this one. So it's got a pocket here, a pocket here, and a pocket over here, which I'm gonna have to glue the top bit of that again and clean that up. See what we're gonna do? We're just gonna pull over a paper trimmer real quick and clean that edge up. See, yeah, I don't know what's going on with this. I cleaned one side up and then the other side has stuff showing that I don't love. So what I may do is just take a piece of washi tape and cover that so that it's not showing. Let's do that real quick. I'm just gonna run some glue. Do that. Let's open that up. Add some glue. Yeah, definitely on the struggle bus today. There we go. Now I'm gonna glue it closed. And I'm gonna leave it alone for a little while, let the glue fully set, because yeah, I keep ripping this one open. All right, there, that's good. So I've now made 4 of these and each one I've assembled differently. So we got 2 done on camera. And somehow I managed to make this one narrower than all of the other ones. I don't know why, unless my side envelope was narrower than the other ones. So for this one, we did 1 piece across that attached this side envelope with the middle envelope and the smaller flip envelope over here. So that's 1 seamless piece going across all 3 envelopes. And then we covered everything up individually after that. For this one, we took 2 strips of paper to act as flaps, put it underneath the pocket in the centerpiece, and then covered everything up. For the first one that I did, I put the window on the outside, which I completely missed and didn't do on any of the other ones. But what I did was the strips of paper to attach all of our envelopes together went over the small side one, under the center pocket piece, over the top of the center piece, and then over the top of this side pocket. And so that's how I created that one. And then for this one, I did 1 continuous piece over to attach the side pocket to the middle pocket, and then a continuous piece inside the middle pocket to the side pocket, although I did some weird stuff in attaching this and it's got some weird issues with it. And then 1 continuous piece covering the back that wrapped over, which I do not recommend. It did not work great. I think it just added more bulk. Like, this is, I think, the bulkiest of all of them. And quite frankly, I think the first one is probably the least bulky of all of them. So that's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, please do all the things that lets YouTube know you enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave me a comment down below. Thanks for joining me, and happy crafting.